Hi, everyone. This is Cindy from InPulse Creatives. I am currently in the Middle East. I am so thrilled today that I am joined by three friends, colleagues, and we're going to be having a wonderful conversation about the mental health, the effects of COVID as a result of the pandemic. And but first of all, I wanted to wish everyone in the Arab region Ramadan Kareem, since this is the holy month. And then I know in the West we just celebrated Easter, and in the East we just celebrated Qiming, which is a festival where we pay respects to our ancestors. So without further ado, I wanted to bring on my co-host today, Jana Posth. And then joining us from also Germany is Nicole Wuttke, and then from Taiwan, Katherine Kuo. Yay! Jana, you wanted to kind of take us on and how we ended up putting this conversation together?
Yes, hello everyone, and thank you, Cindy. Yes, so we all attended a lot of talks and conferences and panels during the last, it's already been almost more than 12 months. And Cindy and I had a few talks within the last few weeks as well, just the two of us, and we realized that there is a lot of talking, of course, about health in terms of the virus, vaccines, medicine, our body health. But we were actually missing a little bit on the mental health. That's part of this whole pandemic and the whole virus and everything that's happening since 12 months to all of us, which is really actually affecting our mental health big time in a lot of ways. So we decided to start the series, and we decided to start with the topic audience, because once we all go back to work, and it doesn't matter if we go back to work, we are an audience, we all are, all the four of us are, but we're also going back to work as programmers, as festival directors, as whatever we do within the field of the performing arts, or even don't do within the field of the performing arts.
Right.
We are an audience, or we face an audience, and we want to talk today about the fact that we think that we might come back a bit differently, or how was the impact on us as an audience. So that's why we came up with the topic, and we are really excited to talk to you, like between the four of us, and to everyone who's in the chat, and we're very much looking forward to your questions.
Yes, for sure. So for all of us joining us, please feel free to type in any comments, any questions you may have. But I just wanted to start off by letting Katherine and Nicole introduce themselves and give us a little bit about their backgrounds and where they are where they are. So maybe I'm just going to start from where I see Katherine on the top. So maybe Katherine, you want to start off by just telling us a little bit about yourself?
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Katherine from Taiwan. Now I'm Taiwan, Taipei, and very happy to see you all here and having you attend this casual chat. My background is more about the performing arts and more focused on the concerts, and my experience including production and also the marketing. So I'm very happy to. I'm glad and very honored that Cindy and Jana invite me to share some observation and some experiencing with you about the audience mental health. And I will, because I think I know most of the world is still under some kind of lockdown or still some severe pandemic situation, but the whole situation in Taiwan is a little bit different. But I will share some observation later. Okay.
Thank you, Katherine. Nicole?
Yeah, sure. Hello. I'm Nicole from Berlin, and I'm an engineer and a project manager for different kind of events and conferences. And I'm also in charge of the department's conception and sustainability, sustainable event management in my company, which is called Mediapool here in Berlin and Germany. And in January 2021, me and my team completed Mediapool's certification process for sustainable event management. and making media pool the first company with a certification in Germany. And this was a success of multiple levels for the sustainability, for the event industry, but also a huge change management process in between our companies and our teams. And so I'm here to just talk about maybe a meta level of stress caused of different kind of management processes in between this pandemic. And because audience is not just in front of a stage, audience can also be all our teams, our colleagues, service providers, and other interfaces are the audience in our projects. So this is just like a different kind of view on this audience perspective. And this audience had to go through quite a lot last year and still is. And with all these pandemic-related difficulties in our private lives and families, work took on a whole new significance. So this is going to be also a theme for today.
Thank you, Nicole. And we have someone from Auckland, New Zealand, who's joining us today. Hi, Square, kia ora from Auckland, New Zealand. All right, Jana, you want to take us off to your first burning thoughts?
Yes,
today?
well, I thought maybe I will start off with a question that is a bit, which is actually the start of going back to the performance level. And I mean this including the audience in front of the stage, but also the audience backstage. So if we say, if I would pop the question, are you ready to return to an indoor performance? That includes a lot of questions in between the line. Ready in terms of, are you desperate for it? Ready in terms of, is that something you feel anxious about? Because it would mean being in a room, like if we talk indoor, being in a room with a lot of people, even if you have a mask, if you have been tested, anxiety is a big issue. So I will just drop that question, throw this into the circle, and maybe we can discuss it a little bit.
Yeah, sure. And this also means for the audience tuning in as well. So if you wanted to start asking your questions or coming back with your feedbacks, that's please feel free. But in the meantime, let's open it to the floor. I mean, Nicole, Katherine, maybe start with Nicole, and then I'm sure Katherine will have a little bit of a different perspective from where she's sitting at in Taiwan.
Yeah, so we're here, I'm just talking from my Berlin kind of view. We are thrilled to go back to see concerts, to see festivals, to just go outside and live. So to smell it, to feel it. We also kind of got used to just attend also digital and hybrid events. We are also planning them. And this kind of got better in the last 6 months, but yeah, aren't we all just like we're just like done with it, aren't we? Like we all want to go back to normal life?
I want to add something. I totally agree, because that would be my feeling as well. But at the same time, I do realize, and I don't know if you know what I mean. I watch movies and I see people attending big concerts or parties, or I don't know, and they are not wearing masks, and they're just, I saw a concert yesterday, like it was, I don't even remember, I think it was Rolling Stones or something, and I realized that I was sitting there being like, oh my God, this is crazy. So what it tells me is that there has been a shift of change in my mind, looking at this, just going back to where we were. I will not, I'm desperate for it. I totally agree. I mean, I can't wait to join a concert. But like for me, for myself, I feel there has been a shift in I sense it differently already. I mean, maybe that will also go away very quickly. Maybe it just needs 1 or 2 concerts and I start feeling comfortable again. But I did realize.
I think it feels like going back to work after like a whole, like a long
vacation.
Yeah, or maybe just like, it's not a vacation or holiday.
Yeah.
And you have to you have to start slowly. You have to maybe first attend like smaller concert, or go back to theater, or go back to museums before entering a huge festival. But I'm pretty sure there are enough people who are just going to jump into the water and love it.
Yeah,
I agree.
yeah.
The desperation is long. In Europe, it's been like a long time. And this is a bit different from Taiwan, I think. I mean, Catherine, you're in Taiwan. So I think there is a you don't have this like long-term being away from live performances, right?
Yeah, the situation in Taiwan is like this. Last year when the COVID-19 started to getting seriously, in Taiwan last year, I remember such like start from March to like 2 or 3 months, March to May or June. Actually, in Taiwan, was the same. Was the same with the rest of the world, and most of the venues like cinema, concert hall, theater, actually they have quite strict restriction to that people attend the live performance or concert. But after that, because the COVID-19 situation in Taiwan was quite under control, so the government gradually loosened the regulation, and people can attend the live performance with and under some restriction, like the particular seats arrangement to make sure the social distance, something like this. And also at the meantime, I think people in Taiwan, they construct some collective common agreement to wear a mask. So gradually, about the performance part, people can gradually get back to the live performance and all the activity, even as normal as usual time. But the program content slightly change and adjust because some performers and some musicians couldn't really fly to Taiwan to attend the concert, something like this. And I found that actually in Taiwan now, when you attend any kind of indoor activities, before you enter the venue, you have to test your temperature, and also you have to wear your mask all the time. You couldn't take it off. And I find that when people experience like 3 or 4 months, you couldn't attend any live performance. So when the regulations loosen and all the venues and the government have these kind of rules, most of people quite cherish this, and most people, I would say, all the people will follow the rules, and so you still can attend all this quite as normal. And also I think that there's people know you have to follow the rules. It's for yourself and for the all people's benefit to continue this privilege, I would say. Yeah, the situation now in Taiwan is like this. And also like some activities people tend to not to join in. So I would say like cinema or some live performers is become some family activities. I see more families to attend the live performance, concert or cinema more than before. That's my observation. That's quite
interesting.
I mean, I can certainly speak to that because I was just in Taiwan for 4 months. And then the first concert I went to see was like the first one in a year. And I literally sat there, and it was like it was actually at the Goethe Institute, and it was a new music contemporary festival. and it was a capacity of maybe about 50 or 60 people. I mean, the room is kind of small, but just to sit there for the first time, like, you know, a packed room of so many people, I literally almost cried. Like, it was like a whole year of not being able to be outside, being in lockdown, like literally lockdown, not being able to fly out of the country and people can't come in, and just all those kind of restrictions. Like, to sit there, you do realize, right? Like, the privilege that almost that we take it for granted as audiences, that this is just what happens, right? But now when it's taken away from you and you're sitting there, you have this extra level of appreciation. And it was odd. Like, there was that whole thing you have to you have to contend with, is the mask wearing. I think could be a little bit challenging for people. But I mean, everyone I saw was just, they follow the rules. There was no arguments about it. Once you go in, they just all keep it on. And that may be something that I think audiences will have to get used to once they're able to go back into these venues and spaces. But it was very surreal, like the idea of sitting there and being able to sit shoulder to shoulder next to audiences. And for me, I didn't feel unsafe. And I guess because everyone was just following the rules and no one was, misbehaving. And I think even the performers on stage, felt very privileged to be able to stand there, and also reminding audiences how privileged they are, in comparison to other audience members around the world that are not able to sit there like we were.
I think it's both, like what all of you said. It's interesting. It's an interesting point, and it actually brings me to two observations in a way. I saw there was a test concert happening 2 or 3 weeks ago at the Philharmonie in Berlin. Mm-hmm. So it was 500 people in the whole. I mean, I think it's 2,000 or something. Nicole, I don't know if you know the exact number. So it was a smaller group of people, but I wasn't there, so I watched it on my phone, and I literally started crying. Yeah. But not because I saw a streaming concert, because I saw a lot of streaming concerts also from the Berlin Philharmonics, because they have this beautiful online, but it was seeing people in an audience, an orchestra, and it was almost like you could feel what is happening in this room of people and it's not only the audience, because also the musicians become an audience. They are confronted with an audience as well. So I mean, it's for both sides. It was a really interesting energy, and I have to say, I mean, I know that I miss it. I do know, but it made me realize it even more, like to really see how important it is to have a live performance, which brings me to my second point. The live performance is something which is not adaptable in any way. I think we can create a lot online, and we can do a lot online with streaming, and we talked about this already a little bit beforehand, and we'll come up with that topic as well, like AR and VR. But this feeling of sitting and smelling and people around you, and even like the music. I mean, it's not that it does make any like big wind. It's not a wind happening, but it's you feel it. The feeling is important.
Yeah, Nicole,
and also, sorry, you already saw it.
No, I was going to say,
yeah, that the audience can experience the feelings what people like Petrenko showed. I mean, like exactly. This was the first performance of him. I'm not sure, but for a long time. And you could see his energy going wild. It's completely, everything was in his performance or in his work. And that's what the audience felt as well, of course, that completely went on the audience, and that made this event so special. Not just that it was the first one for a long time, but also in the special conditions.
It's like a relief, it feels like it's
for everyone,
in with everything that comes with a major relief. Like it's really, I agree. And I mean, Petrenko is a very like emotional person, and he's very, but I totally agree with what you say. I watched the concert a few days ago again, like the whole thing, not on the phone, and it's incredible. It's really special, and it shows like going back to the topic mental health, it shows the emotions and everything that is related to not being on stage, not being in front of an audience, not being in front of an orchestra, like everything. That was really, for me, this was a super interesting performance.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say that connection and that relation, I think, is what I treasure most, because I would say when you hear a great performance, maybe my experience like a piano recital, and if the situation is you stay at home, you watch you watch the screen and listen to the live streaming, and the performance was great, and it's you're so touched, but you're alone. Maybe you're with your family, but it's totally different from when you sit in a concert hall, and after the concert finished, and that 1 minute, 2 minutes totally silence with 2,000 people, and I think that's quite different. The collective emotion, 2,000 people so focused on one thing, one thought, that silence. I think that impact cannot be replaced. Never. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, or even like, a rock concert. How do you have that kind of feeling when you're in an arena stadium of 10,000 and you're like shouting and screaming and singing along? Like that is definitely for sure something that cannot be recreated, from home. And also, it's important to acknowledge too that from this, from sitting at home as an audience, we are actually missing out on many different types and ranges of performances, because theater and dance is something that really cannot be very well translated through a screen, not unless, of course, you're able to spend tons and tons of money on a production quality of how do I get this onto like a theater piece. Like, how is that even possible, right? So in so many ways that it's from myself, it's like I feel like there's only certain things that can be translated through our phone, our tablets, our TV screens, or our computers. Certain art forms are not going to translate well unless it's live. So,
and I agree, and I think the thing that has to be translated, if we're trying to define it, it's like when you, I don't know if I go and watch a theater piece or a ballet or an opera or whatsoever, it does something to me. And besides from that, I educate myself in music or dance or whatever. It also catches me in a way that is not translatable or transferable in what you just said. But so it also means, I think any kind of art form, performing arts, is also like a movie or music. Like sometimes you listen or you hear something and it triggers something within you, which you were not even aware of it's in there. It happens to me. I watch something and I'm like, oh my God, I start crying and I don't know why. So that is another relief. That is, so it has a almost healing function sometimes. And it has to, and this is also taken away. It's like, it's not happening. So if I don't have that part of my life right now where I also, which is almost like a little, it's not like medicine or something, you know what I mean? It's like, it's just something, it's completely not there. So I am stuck with a little part of myself, like feeling part, which can't get out because it needs that trigger. It needs to be triggered.
It's been taken away, and on the other side, there's so many artists who tried to create something which couldn't be the same, of course, but maybe trigger something else in us, or something else, or something that will change the whole event industry in the future. And I'm just talking about concerts like Jean-Michel Jarre at New Year's Eve. That was just amazing, and on the other hand, a complete like a hybrid concert, and then a complete digital concert at Fortnite with Travis Scott, which completely showed something which wasn't there before. It was there, but like not on this impact, for the audience, because people like us, like me, for example, who is was not into Fortnite that much, you know. Yeah, I was pretty impressed, and I loved it. I loved it.
Yeah, I totally agree with both. I was not into Fortnite. I had no idea what it was until like 2 years ago, but then it was literally a name. I totally agree. But the interesting thing would be like, let's say, just to make up, like if you say, like, what do you think? Like if you say you have a live performance of Travis Scott and you have the high tech, wow, bam, boom, bang, Fortnite performance online, and both are for free. What do you think is the percentage of people attending which one?
I think maybe it depends how old you are, and you know,
yes,
what yeah, what your interests are. I'm not sure if the audience has some answers for that. Like our audience now,
I mean,
the Twitch community.
yeah, like our audiences, please come in with your questions and feedbacks, because I think this is so important. And we were talking a little bit about this, and same thing, like Roblox is meant for younger kids. My son plays Roblox, and he was, you know, and then a very good friend of mine works at Roblox, runs their global music department, and they recently collaborated with Nas. And also it was a huge concert that just completely, you know, was bombarded by millions of people. And then to, you know, to go back, it's like, you know, in video games, they're not, you don't see the actual artists. They're in video game character form, like they're in avatars, right? and to me, that I don't know how to wrap my head around that, but obviously kids who play Roblox or kids who play video games understand it and don't mind it. Like, it's just listening to his music, and they don't need to actually see him, but the fact that he's an avatar and he's having a concert listening to his music, that was enough. And like you said, it's all of this virtual world that they understand, which I don't. But also aside, like, you know, it's that audience, right? And in the normal world, you know, when we're trying to expose kids, aside from maybe, you know, specific types of music or performances, mostly there is a age restriction, you know, for children under certain age. And I remember, you know, earlier this year, I participated in in Global Fest online, and my son was watching with me. And then normally it happens in clubs in New York City. Even if he was there physically, he would never have been allowed in, right? A, because it's too late, and B, just they're not going to allow him to go in. But this time he was able to watch with me all these different performances, and he absolutely loved it and enjoyed it. So in so many ways, it's also, you know, that really got me to think about it as well. Like, because of this, are we, you know, in normal times, are we leaving out certain audiences, and what does that mean for them, you know, and their exposures for younger children that are, you know, like underage kids. But not to say that the performances are not suitable, but, you know, we have, especially in our mind, that okay, when you go into a venue, when you go into an opera house, you don't bring your kids, right? Or you go into a ballet and you don't bring your kids, like, unless they could sit there properly and not make a single peep of noise. You know, which
is not happening.
Like, yeah, I mean, or like jazz clubs. Like, there's no way I'm going to be able to, right? It's so it's one of those things. It's like there is a chunk of audiences that are also being left out pre-COVID, but because of what's happening now, they're able to participate virtually at home, if along with their family members, if they are watching. So this is something that I've been grappling with, right? Like, even prior, I mean, I try to bring my son to as much stuff as possible, but there's certain things that are I just can't, because he's just not going to sit there for 2 hours, right? So I'm really curious where that, you know, how that may shift moving forward. And
that's interesting, because we are actually so that would add something positive to this whole discussion, in saying you can attend young age, you can attend performances, music, whatever, by starting with a younger age as a performance. I mean, you can always listen to anything at home. I mean, that's True, yeah. And I mean, besides from, we talked about this earlier, like besides from it takes their mind off things that are happening right now, which is good because, you know, it puts also children's minds, also grown-ups, but it puts their minds somewhere else. I think it's true. I mean, why not have a 6-year-old listening to a jazz concert? I mean, maybe they're bored to death. I don't know, because it's not their music and it's too, but it's, you know, it will have an impact. I remember my parents started taking us to a classical concert when we were like 5 years old until the first break. And I was so bored. I started counting the violins and the, you know, flutes, and then I was up on the walls. But what I also did, because I was like, oh my God, nothing is happening. I was like, okay, I'm only listening to one violin player. So I was really trying to focus on this one. And it worked after a while. And what I did somehow, just because of literally out of complete being bored to death, I was able to listen to certain instruments during complete orchestra, like a complete symphony. And that was just, it's also an education, you know, it educated me. Yeah.
Absolutely. But Jana, what do you think? Are these kids now, when they're gonna see Travis Scott performing live for the first time, are they bored to death then?
No,
because
they don't have to
what they experience at Fortnite or at this amazing digital world in whatever, like we are, this is just like more happening than in real life. I don't want to say real life, but in like a presents performance.
Well, I mean, the difference would have been that my parents would not have taken me to Beethoven, but to, let's say, the Rolling Stones. I think that would have made a difference for me already. But the question is, what happens if you take those kids, if you have a classical concert in a Fortnite situation? Let's say you take the Berlin Philharmonics or whatever.
I know, turn them all into avatars.
Yeah, turn them all into avatars.
Can you imagine like a whole... We should do that. That's a project. Let's go talk to Fortnite creator. Yeah, Katherine.
There's one thing I want to share with you, that I think not only the kids, because but like the audience like me, or I would say there are some potential, a bunch of people like me, like I was in London from middle of 2018 to the end of early 2020, and now I'm in Taipei, and I would say I'm quite happy. All the main venues still keep offering that live stream service, because now although I'm in Taipei, but I still can book the tickets in like South Bank Center, Barbican, and National Theater. I still can watch some program like they offer, no matter that's archive or some live concert like the Wigmore Hall in London. If not the pandemic and COVID situation, it's impossible for me to watch those programs and see all the concerts, something like that. So even I back to Taipei, but I still subscribe the e-newsletter to check all the program on South Bank Center, Barbican, and National Theater, Wigmore Mall, all the live performance venues. I still check all the program and see what I can book the online ticket. Even the online stream, although it's not the same with you are here. But I think after all this, I believe some audience in Asia, like in Japan, Singapore, or Korean, people get used to watch the program through live, because compared, you have to buy tickets to fly to Europe, and it's convenient and much cheaper, and you can afford, like I can watch like 5 to 6 programs online. Yeah, and also like talk about the younger generation. And one of my friends' daughters, she learned ballet, and now she can watch some ballet performance through like Bolshova Theater, the world known famous ballet company, and to watch their live stream show. If not the COVID situation, those opera house, ballet company, or theater, they may not do those live. And I know some Asia audience quite like this idea. Yeah.
It's
Yeah, that's
interesting.
true.
Yeah. It's interesting because I think, we talked about this earlier, like how the audience's response to the live streaming is so different from I think across the board. I think a lot of people are just fed up not being able to see live performances, and they really just want to be there and to be physically in a venue, whether it's an arena size or a clubhouse of 50 or 60 people. But like here in the region in the Middle East, I was just having a conversation with someone yesterday, and we were asking them, and they're saying that one of the cultural department
Alex,
Oh, is she gone?
she's gone.
Okay.
Also interesting.
Yeah, it was interesting.
Sorry,
There she is.
I don't know what happened. Sorry about that.
No worries.
I was just saying that someone here, this is live. This is this is not, we are live. It shows that we are live.
Live.
I was having this conversation, and then they were saying, I was asking them about what they have done, and they said they have put some virtual performances on, but people here just are not, they don't want to watch it. And I can attest to that because last week, over the weekend, I signed up to watch the Bahraini Jazz Festival, and it was all virtually offered free online. And the closing night was a very famous Bahraini jazz singer. And even then it was like only maybe 20 some people on at a time. Like that was it. And I was really surprised. And probably and maybe that's another whole discussion because it's about how culture is being developed around the world. Here they're just starting to try and get people into the theater, and it's a cultural development is still happening, very much so. Whereas, I mean, we're very fortunate to be coming from, from regions that are already fully developed, that have already long histories of people going into theaters from our parents' generation, from our grandparents' generation. So I think there is that habit. And, so it's quite fascinating because everyone's response to it is slightly, slightly different. And, and I've also had conversations with, and maybe this is also an age thing, right? Like if you talk to the older audiences, some of them are just going to say, well, I'm not quite ready yet. Like I may not be quite ready yet to go back to that physical space. They may not be that comfortable. Whereas, I mean, for me, I'm just like, I'm dying. I'm like ready to jump right back in, whether it's indoors, outdoors, whatever it is. And that thirst is there for me.
I have a question actually, because I think it's an interesting point. Do you think, like all of you, do you think that bringing people to the theater, like how, like from different parts of the world, but do you think that this actually raises maybe the number of people watching live performances afterwards? Because there's maybe a new desperation for art or for being out there in general, and maybe they had a bit more time to, I don't know. I mean, like, does it support bringing people back into or not even back, but new people into the venues, because there is this need for live performances, this need for being out there with people, not only in bars and restaurants, but also, I mean, I don't know. It's a question.
I think like we lost something, you know, in the last year, all these live performances in theater, wherever, but we also won something, a new level of art experience with this, you know, that we could watch all these special views of art plays, for example, because it was not just TV, what we saw, you know, TV on the internet. There were artists working for a performance that just like got at us, you know, we got. And I think that's like, you know, that's like on both hands. Maybe, I'm not sure, but maybe this is the reason why there are new people were connected to that online performances that are going back or will go to the theaters, you know. And on the other hand, that the audience that actually just attended theaters, live theater plays, would like to also experience now the digital way, because it's just easier, you know. As much as it will change the work environment, that all this just meetings, you know, that's pretty much easier to do it online and not drive through the whole city for an hour through traffic, just like to meet 3 people. So I think both sides.
It's interesting. It's super interesting point. And I mean, also like going back to mental health, whatever. I mean, I think, and it's for both reasons, as you said. It could be being anxious, like you said, Cindy, like maybe someone is not ready to go out, but at the same, it could be simple laziness, or also not laziness in a bad way. I mean, also like, you know, staying home than going out because you don't feel like going out, or also because of money, like traveling somewhere, you know. I mean, like you said, Catherine, Bolshoi Ballet is coming to Taiwan without you having to pay, I don't know, ticket, hotel, visa, and so on. So it does make the world, it changes the world and it's when I relate it to the mental topic, it's for a lot of reasons, positive and negative, or not negative, but you know. So that's interesting, because I think, and that's what I have to say, when I listen, when I'm in all these panels and listen to people, it's interesting to look at the perspective or the opportunities that are on the table. It's one thing to isolate a problem or to isolate something that's happening or to talk about it, but actually the perspective given within even maybe an anxiety is totally interesting. That's totally, because even if someone is too anxious to go back to theater or a venue, or there is a possibility for us and to make something out of it, to create a new audience. And I totally agree. I have one more question when we talk new audience. Maybe this jump is a bit big. It's like a big split in ballet, but I'll try. Which is the AR conferences. You know, like if you, like we talked about this before as well. Like if I have these glasses, I tried it my first time in my life 3 weeks ago, and you literally walk into a room. And for me, this was absolutely amazing. I had this avatar standing next to me talking, and it is different than sitting in front of a screen having a 2D dimensional experience. So I was wondering, is that maybe a little like a gray area in between not being able to go to the theater, but also not being totally separated from what's happening? Does it? I mean, it made me feel differently, I have to say. And then when I tried it, like when I tried it and I had this little avatar next to me I could talk to, I felt a bit more connected to the world, even though I was in a complete not real world. It's fun. It's funny.
I mean, I think it really has to do with the age. Like for me, I still like, I think for us, it's like if you're younger, you know, if like you're my son's age, I'm sure putting that thing on is just so cool. Right. And for me, I've tried those Oculus thing before where you do feel like you're in there. But to me, I think going back to Catherine's point earlier, it's that visceral feeling of someone literally physically sitting next to you, and you hear them breathe, and you know, that sense of all your five senses are completely activated when you're in a performance.
True.
And through this Oculus, those senses are not, they're not there.
Yeah,
only your visuals and your audio is, but there's no sense of smell, there's no sense of that chemistry, everything in the air that you feel when, you know, when you're in a symphonic, you know, when you're in a symphony, everyone, the audience ends up, you hear them breathing at the same time, right? Like they're breathing at the same time. Or you're in a pop concert, everyone is singing together, or everyone is, you know, is swaying the same way, or the audience is reacting with, you know, that interaction. I mean, at the end of the day, the Oculus, even though you could feel you're there with everyone else, but you're not there, because that liveness is not, it cannot be replaced. The smell, and then that kind of, that physical, that chemistry, you know, that physics is not there in that goggle, you know. And also for me, that clunkiness, I think after like maybe 20 minutes, I don't know if I can handle it after like 20 or half an hour.
Like the Wagner ring would not be for you, like in that.
Yeah, I know, right? Can you imagine the Wagner, the ring cycle, the whole thing? That would be a totally different kind of mental experience afterward.
A total nightmare mental experience. Probably.
I know.
From my point of view as a project manager, we created like a new business arm in that area, you know, like let's stay with the arts. We created hubs and gallery walks and whole exhibitions. And so you could, I know that we didn't create that, you know, and we didn't invent these ideas that all exist before COVID. But we saw that the people were interested, so it's business. So we created it, and it was really interesting as well. And so we created these rooms, and so our audiences are meeting up in these rooms, or are walking by themselves through an exhibition, and meeting people, standing in front of the art pieces, talking about it. You can actually hear the breathing.
Really?
Yeah, and when you're working with these glasses or with these Oculus or other glasses, VR experiences, you even recognize yourself and the person you're talking to when you're talking to an avatar. So it doesn't have to have your face or their face or whatever. For an example, like in one of these exhibitions, I was standing in front of a picture, or my avatar was, and then my brother was talking to me because I knew that he was there as well and living in LA, me in Berlin. And that felt so close, you know, that was not a phone call or video call. That was like the closest experience, you know, in the connection of brother and sister I had before just meeting him in person.
Right.
So,
Right. Wow. Well, our audiences are very shy. Please come in with your questions and comments. You know, we're here to answer, and don't, you know, there's no right or wrong answer, really. I think this is just an open discussion for us to just help people think from different angles, you know, just really just tapping into the back of your brains and let you think differently as an audience member, and to getting to know, you know, what would you be ready to watch, and the reception. And I feel like, I think also mentally, like, how am I going to not handle, but there's so much more options now, right? And it's like going to the supermarket and all of a sudden you're paralyzed with so many choices.
Yeah, which I end up buying nothing. That's
right. And I think that's,
I take the gum, I leave. I'm like, oh my God, no, too much.
Right, like, can you imagine, like, you know, you're like the supermarket in Berlin, and then I would just be paralyzed by the options of cheese I would be able to choose. And like, okay, what?
Yeah.
Good example.
right?
Actually.
Or like in the American supermarket aisle, just the amount of cereal choices you
Milk.
have.
Milk.
And the milk,
Milk,
yes,
milk.
the milk.
The milk section in American supermarket for me is like insane, because you have from 0.1 up to, I don't know, 58.5
Yes.
probably.
Yeah.
You've got
Butter.
everything. Yeah,
And
butter.
the
Yeah, but
and then in
it's,
Taiwan is the drinks.
love it,
Is-
love it.
Yeah, it's the Taiwan is the drinks. You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
like the drinks, you know, in 7-Eleven, you sit there. I'm literally standing there for like 10 minutes and I'm like, what do I buy? Just the tea alone. There's milk tea, there's flavored tea, there is different tea, there's blah, 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 and I'm just like, and I literally just walk away not buying anything.
yeah,
But
it's
I think,
too much.
yeah. And that's the thing is like now we have so many, I think there's now so many layers of options. You know, now what do I
Now we
choose?
have to make a choice.
Now we have all these choices that we have to make. And does that mean we're going to just end up not choosing anything and just sit home and just kind of read a book or veg out instead? Like, I mean, I'm
Yeah.
afraid that could also be another, you know, another problem.
I think, well, I don't know. I can only speak for myself. What I want to do first, if I come up with this utopia kind of everything opens tomorrow, which is not happening anyways, what I would do first, I would go and watch a ballet performance. And I think I would literally go and watch like something classical, like something I've known from, you know, I don't know. I was always a big fan of Giselle, for example. That's my ballet, classic ballet, most like that's my, so, and because it's, somehow like if I can go back into theater, it is much more than just watching a performance. It's reconnecting with something. It's like a little celebration, you know. It's something. I want the smell of a theater. Like every theater smells the same. That's one thing every theater has in common. When you go to the theater, when you go backstage or on the side, it always smells the same. It's like coming home. And you can go in every country, in every theater, it always smells the same. I love that. And also like the lights go out and you have this little dust flying around and you're like, oh my God, the poor dancers, they have to breathe in now and, you know, and go for it. So I think that's what I would do. And this is also related to not being able to be there for a long, long time. And it's kind of a positive melancholic situation. So if I were a programmer for theater or festival, I would put something on like the Nutcracker in New York, for example, like the Nutcracker in New York. This has to be on the schedule.
The classic.
Yeah, it has to. And you also, of course, new stuff. But I think it's what people, it's like going back to the city where you were born in because I don't live in the city I was born in. If I go back there, I go to the points I reconnect with. It feels a little bit like this in a way. And then I want to go and see all the new shit music and, you know, everything.
Live.
Live.
Yeah, and so I think it's all related to how your experience being established. Like, for my personal experience, because my own experience was established through the live performance. So when I wear, no matter AR or my AR or VR experience, I have experienced watch film through VR, and I found that I think my maximum maybe like 40 minutes. For 30 minutes, after 40 minutes, I start to feel dizzy and I feel not that comfortable, and so I can't that focus in everything I see, I feel, and I think through that VR or AR devices. Also, when you use all these technology devices, your all senses are totally different. But I found that younger generation, they can wear that device like no matter to see any film or listen to the music or play video games. They can wear that like 2 or 3 hours without any problem. They get used to this because when you are in the VR environment, the distance between you and the object and subject you see are quite different from in the actual real life. So I think that they quite get used to that distance and that sense, and also like the color, the sound they hear. So I think the live performance audience and all the VR AR audience, I think it depends on the generation. So for certain generation, I think the audience wouldn't. I would say they wouldn't overlap, but for some generation, they will quite overlap. And I don't know, maybe like my nephew, he's now 1 year old. For him, maybe he can totally live in the VR world, I would say, because that when he old enough to see any and can consumption some like arts of that. Maybe the technology is, I don't know how it will be developed. So I think that it's how your experience was constructed and established is, I think that's quite important.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, for me, it's just like, we keep talking about this urge and this, we talk about people who are able to go back, that sense of melancholy or that sense of nostalgia of wanting to really go back. I guess my other concern is like, how long will that feeling last before our feelings get normalized again or desensitized to a point where it's just now, okay, we take
or
it
will
for
that
granted.
stay? Are we
Or
the
will that
generation
stay,
who will
right?
have that always in us, and we will tell our children?
Right, I
about
guess,
that.
so that's also one thing that I think about a lot now too, right? Aside from going back and how is the audience, that audience, our audience behavior sitting there, how is that going to change over time once we continue to move forward, and once science tries to help us fix, this problem, and we're able to get back into those spaces. After a long period of time, do we then get desensitized again? And then what does that mean, right? That's something that it's been sort of in my brain for some time too. And I mean, I don't think we have the answers for that, but I think it's important just to think about it. And for me, it's like, let's just tell her, we just have to not keep we cannot take it for granted. We cannot take it for granted.
Well, I totally agree. And I think also like it both sides add something totally positive to both sides, which sounds a bit more complicated than I mean it to sound, because what Nicole said, like, having a brother and a sister meeting in a gallery out of also maybe missing someone. I mean, this is not only interesting during a pandemic, this could also be interesting on a Saturday in November without a pandemic, because Nicole's in Berlin.
That's what we get from that, exactly.
Yeah. But we also get something out of this, which is beyond, and this is another thing which I find interesting, everything that is not related to a pandemic, which comes out of a pandemic, but actually we can find things that we can use afterwards for so many, and not only technical wise or performance wise, but also talking mental health, which maybe makes our lives more like easier, or like Nicole, you can see your brother whenever you miss him. You can go and watch a performance, a concert, a gallery, or you can just sit down and have dinner, or I don't know, gin tonic or something. But at the same time, I mean, the other side is like, what happens if that desperation, if like theaters are packed with people after maybe a first short period where everyone is a bit, anxious and has to see where they are, and then all of a sudden it's gone. But then I have to say, I just think theater has been there for, oh, I don't know. I went to Greece last year, the year before, obviously, sorry. Oh my God, 2 years ago. And we went to the Acropolis, and that's where you can see the Dionysus Theater, like the theater. And this has been, I don't know how many years. So somehow it always survived. And I believe there is something in performing arts which is going to survive, even in the most outdoor amphitheater, stone seats, stage done, you know? Not for everyone, and maybe not for everyone in the new generation, but it will survive somehow. And it's something it's like Shakespeare or Beethoven, or I don't know, they will survive. It's maybe
I mean, I agree. I totally agree that it's going to survive. It's just, you know, it's how, right? How is it going to survive?
Yeah.
And I think we're just going to have a lot more choices moving out of this. You know, is it a hybrid? Is it something that, is it part of it is that is it going to be live performances, but there will be artists that's going to be streamed into it? You know, so that's or in multiple formats of like, there's going to be live in a room, but everyone is wearing an Oculus to enjoy that performance for 15-20 minutes. I mean, we're starting to see a little bit of that. And then how are audiences, how do we interpret that, or how do we, you know, embrace all of that? I'm excited to see. Yeah. And, you know, even like going back to what Nicole was saying earlier, it's, you know, like the idea of having this availability, like to the older generations, like, you know, people who just cannot drive anymore, or who don't really have good access to transportation. You know, they can now actually just be able to watch it from home, you know, in the comfort of their own home, without having a big production to get out of their house.
And maybe not even just watch it in front of a computer, but like, let's, you know, go like, these glasses become a bit more or less heavy, right, and all of a sudden they can sit in a theater being at home. And I think curiosity is another big, like talking mental, like it's, I mean, that's what I realized, beside, like, away from everything we already talked about. I'm totally curious about what is coming next and what is possible. So I would start, I would pay for an augmented reality performance experience out of curiosity, which actually got a bit stronger during the pandemic, because I had more time to think about it, or there was more input towards that part of performing arts.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm also, honest, you know, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Just to talk about the older generation, to be honest, in my family and my friends' families, there were lots of people, let's say 70 plus, who got to know how to use the iPad for telephone, for video calls, and for, like, you know, watching concerts, watching live moments, experience all that stuff. And that's what we have now as well. You know, we have like a huge new group of audience, which can work in the digital world. You know,
that's really interesting. Yeah, because they're learning, and maybe instead of all getting, you know, they could just get their neighbors to come over and just have a watch party from their backyard in the comfort of their, you know, their like shorts.
Like, if you put Travis Scott on Twitch, you maybe, you know, do you Twitch people or whoever create, like, there is a lot of possibility to create something that is for, it's a very interesting point. It's true. 70 is another performer. I mean, my mom doesn't know who Travis Scott is, but she knows who Pachenko is.
But also,
does she know Billie Eilish?
I know Billie Eilish.
Yes. No? Okay.
Yeah. Oh, hold on. I just had a thought. Oh God, it just, oh my goodness. Just came out of my mind. Just slipped out of my mind. I just had a thought I wanted to ask. Anyways, it'll come back to me. but yeah, I mean, even just oh no, yes, it came back to me. So I think that a lot of the I think, and the tiredness, I mean, I don't know if it's just, I guess, you know, marketing, right? From a marketing perspective as an audience, when half of these virtual performances that we've been seeing this last year have all been free. And I wonder if because it is free, you know, people just don't want to get on, you know, and I'm curious because I've had
Mm.
The other way around. Okay, get it.
Yeah.
I'm
Interesting point. Yeah.
you know, like when you offer things to free, like free all the time, people
not
end up not, it's not exclusive anymore, or you don't learn to, there's no commitment because you know that you know, like for me, if I know like I signed up for something but it's free, I was like, oh, I didn't pay for it, or I could easily forget about it, or you know what, it's free, it's okay, I didn't pay for it, I've got, and something else more important came up. I don't know like what your experiences has been on that. I mean, I've certainly watched a number of online, you know, online performances for free. I mean, the last maybe 3-4 months, some of them have gotten a little bit better, but there's also others where I signed up and I just was like, it really forgot. I forgot because I didn't pay for it, and then there's no mental commitment to it because you didn't, you know, pay any money for it, even if it's just a few dollars. Like, you know, if it's a few, even if it's a few dollars, I feel like I would at least be committed because I pay for it. But because
and also
I didn't pay for it,
it gives the impression of that it has a higher quality, even if it doesn't.
Yeah.
But because it's not for free, it's somehow this difference between free and you have to pay euros, 10 euros, 20. It gives the impression that quality, it's a higher quality. Most of the time, it's not even true. But
yeah, it's true.
It's an interesting point. Yeah, but I have the same experience. If I sign up for something for free, I do forget it more easily. It happens to me, and it's fine because, yeah, as you say, I didn't pay for it. It's okay.
Right.
Yeah, it's true. It's an interesting point. But the problem is if some, like, I don't know, if you give out a lot of stuff for free and all of a sudden you want to make people pay, even if it's just 5 euros, would that work? But that's a marketing thing, I think, probably. But I mean, I would pay for some things. Like there are things I would definitely pay for, which I have watched for free. But there are also things I have to say, I have to agree, I would not pay for. I just watched them because they were for free.
But the last year showed us that the people are not really willing to pay for. I mean, like you get, you know, like, you know, this what's the name in Berlin? You had, no, it's like worldwide, that you had the clubs that were streaming online for free. What's the name, Jana, again? Streaming for, oh, that's a bit. Anyways, and that was, you know, on a free base, but you could donate. So the people did donate. So that worked out. But when they when they have to pay like entrance fees for concert, that just didn't work out.
United We Stream.
United We Stream. And I mean, like that worked out for artists like Billie Eilish, sure. It worked out for artists like Nick Cave as well. You know, they were all sold out. But in this sold out situation, you know, like they were playing in the marketing that there are just so many seats or tickets, you know, on to sell. So the people were like, here, there are just 100 tickets. So it's very exclusive. So that's kind of worth it to attend and pay the price. And that was just like a different marketing strategy.
Yeah, true.
I mean, Katherine, have you watched, you said you were doing subscriptions, but I guess all the performances you watched were also for free, correct?
No, I actually pay for it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, tell us.
I admit that for when I sign up some like the free performance, I would mark on my calendar, but you know the time difference, so I forgot that quite often because Yeah, it's free, and sometimes free means some because we didn't pay, so you won't keep that in mind, and you maybe not pay that attention that. But when you pay something like £10, £8, something like that, and you will take it much more serious. And so I would evaluate if because sometimes I have to watch the concert like 2 a.m. in the morning Taiwan, because the concert is in London. Yeah. So I will see if I really have time, if I can keep myself awake at 2 a.m. in the morning. Sometimes I think there's quite service that the live stream will remain like 24 hours or 48 hours. Then that's quite reasonable and convenient for me, because which means I sign up and I can find the daytime in Taiwan to watch the performance. And because there are some play or some live concert, like particular conductor maestro I really like, then I would pay for it. Yeah, that's from me. And I know maybe for the marketing side, it's quite difficult to find a balance, because I read some article, some venue, the management team, they talk about this, how to balance the income from the live stream and also the live performance, because you have to invest if you want to good quality to draw the attention to get all this live stream income from the audience worldwide. You have to invest all this equipment, device, and you have another team to broadcast all this. And how to balance this is quite difficult. Yeah, because like the Berlin Philharmonic, they have all these team and also the device already, but not for the rest of the venues. They have to do this. I think it's quite difficult.
Right. So were you paying for Berlin Phil's performance? Or I'm curious what you pay for, and what was the quality of it like between the paid performances?
Not Berlin Philharmonic, but some talks and concerts, classical, mainly classical concerts at Barbican or and South Bank. Yeah, and also opera. Some some more contemporary point of view, some modern productions. Yeah, because I want to know how they interpret the play. And I pay when I have time, and I really pay for it. Yeah.
So how much were the tickets that you paid for? Like what was the ticket range?
It depends, like 8 to 12, 20, because the ticket price is different from the live one, from the indoor. Yeah. Live performance, they have some, depends on the program. Sometimes they have quite good price.
Interesting. And I wonder also, like the idea of free, even if you tune in, sometimes I find myself like that just became the background. I don't know.
But
I don't know.
I have to say, this happens to me with Netflix series as well, that I have them just running in the back somewhere, and so.
But at least with Netflix, we know we can go back and rewatch it if we want, right? Or like the reruns. And then with these live performances, when they're gone, they're gone. Sometimes they may just leave it up there for another extra week or 48 hours or whatever. And, for me, it's just like, sometimes I have and then I find myself, I have like multiple screens going on at the same time because there's multiple performances that's happening at the same time. And so that was something that was mentally, like literally, talking about mental health, it was like mentally driving me a little bit nuts. And it was a bit of a pressure on me to be quite honest, because like that, again, like that supermarket, standing in front of that supermarket cheese aisle, and you're just like, what do I choose? And that became my problem
But it's
during
also,
this whole time.
I mean, yeah, because the goal is, by the end of the day, you want to get carried away. Even it's the cheese and the wine at home, or if it's a performance, like sitting in a theater watching one piece, to absolutely being drawn away and carried away. And this is not happening once you have all these, little things.
Exactly, you're not. Yeah.
And this is another thing which is absolutely, what I find is absolutely missing, this feeling of being like, when I love reading. So it happens to me reading books, and it happens to me reading a book, not having my iPad or listening to something or watching a series. It needs that actual device. See, I mean, I'm already like 2021. Yeah. But this is the same, and this is what I think where we're back to life. And this is something I do miss, whatever, if it's a concert, if it's a little concert in a club, in a big one, or ballet or anything. And this being carried away by something, taking all my attention, all my senses. And that's what we said in the very beginning. And I think it will be interesting because we can add something, but I think it became absolutely obvious how important it is for the mental health, actually, for us to absorb live performances in any way. It is absolutely essential.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's that, we talk about this, right? We as practitioners in this field, our goal is to let audiences come in, and that 1 hour is an experience that they're not going to get out of, right? It's almost like they're stepping into another space, another world, and they let their imagination, do the work, and then that experience of, like you said, being taken away from their day-to-day, and for that 90 minutes, or 2 hours, however long you're in there. And that's just something, that doesn't, it's not going to be replaced.
Yeah. Or you can, I mean, the closest I can get to that is what Nicole said earlier, going to the gallery, meeting Nicole's brother, having a chat in front of a beautiful painting. I think for me, like, from my imagination, this is the closest I can get with the possibilities we have, 2021.
Yeah, now, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. And that will be interesting where that is going within the next 5 years. I mean, I all fingers crossed and knock on every wood in the house, like there's not another pandemic coming. So we have another way to experience that. But I think it will be interesting because it is a starting point also for that part of performance, audience, and so on. I totally
exactly. This digital performance and sustainability and inclusion, that's just like that's all these areas, they just got to a new level. And that's, and from that point of view or stage, we're gonna move forward. And this is
exciting because it's new land. It's like,
it can be exciting. Exactly. And for some people, it can be just like a bit frightening as well, and that's what we have to talk about.
True. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's that scare is, it's, like thinking about changing from, from cassette to CD, right? People
my
have this
God,
whole
yes.
panic
Oh,
about it.
that was major. That was major.
It was major, right?
Yeah, it was. Or even like
And the kids
major.
don't even know what you're talking about.
I know.
Either way.
I was like, who? What?
The what?
No, also from like having a device, and then the whole iPod thing, it turned like now you don't even have anything. You don't even, like, my computer doesn't even have anything where I can put a CD in anymore. It's gone. And
It's
I'm
gone,
like,
yeah.
oh God, am I that old? Like, really? It's gone? It's not there anymore? It's gone.
Catherine?
My car already.
I know.
It, so.
Oh, yes. So do we have any questions from the audience?
No, they're so shy today. I mean, there are people on, but they're not really asking questions. So, but it's okay. We'll just keep chatting away. Catherine, you were going to say something.
Yeah, and also I would say sometimes the live, you attend the live performance or anything live will give your life some, I would say, surprise, because my personal experience, one time I remember I went to a concert and I couldn't remember why I cried so hard. And then the an old I think an old guy like my grandpa's age, or maybe 70 or 80 years old, and he looked at me and asked, why you cry so hard? Anything happened? You just broke up or something? So he cared about me. Why care about me so much? And then we start to talk. Then when we after the interval to the second half, and he offered me, he said, do you want to take my seat, because the view here is much better than yours. You can get this or something. That he cares about me so much. And suddenly I feel, wow, what a great encounter. It's really a kind of a heartwarming, just because we are just two strangers. He totally didn't need to do all this. And I think that's the kind of the beauty between people. Sometimes some surprise like this make you believe something and your faith, something like this. But if I watch I listen to the concert at home with my pajama, and I probably can only cry alone in my room. You never know when you show up, be there somewhere, sometime.
Yeah, it's true. Well, that is the magic of it, right? It's again, it's that magic of that physical chemistry between strangers and between the people that, whether you're going to see it alone by yourself or whether you're going with your spouse, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your family, it's that physical interaction that I think we're all craving. And I encourage everyone, as soon as we're able, to really get back out there and to feel that again, because it is, like you said, it's not just for our mind, but it is for our soul. Whatever kind of performances you're watching, that live interaction just cannot be replaced.
That's so beautiful. Mm.
Yeah, totally. And I read an article last week, and I'm not coming from medicine, so I read an article where there was this woman saying, like a social interaction is actually important for your health. It really affects your health, not having like real social contact. Like, this is not a real social contact. This is us talking through a screen, which is better than nothing. But it's not, and it was a real, I don't know, maybe if I find it, I'll send it to you. It was really, really, really interesting how she said how that physically affects the body, not only the mind, but also the mind and the body, but also the body without the mind. It's really, it's essential. It's nothing we can give away, we can give up. To isolate a person from its social, like, if you really, like, isolation is one of the
Worst,
biggest, worst tortures used as a weapon. It's terrifying. It raises anxiety. It raises,
and it's very dangerous. It's very, very dangerous.
And I mean, talking dangerous, I mean, not, but we also talked about this before shortly, which is like going back to the pandemic and mental health. I mean, the suicide rates went up. I mean, that's not a big surprise, really.
No.
But and it's also, I mean, it's domestic violence, it's depression, it's everything. So, and that's why we have to, it's good that we found ways to get a little bit around it. But yeah, it is about time that we all go to Taiwan.
I know. I was so ready to come back, and then I'm just like, why did I leave? Why didn't I just stay there a little bit longer?
Shit. Yeah. No, I mean, that's the one good thing is that it has an end. It's not something, I mean, even though the end is not, well, it's, at least in Germany, we don't really know when it's going to end, but there is one. It's not endless. I mean, thank God.
Yeah. But you know what you're talking about, Jana, you know, this little screen, I think it will even, that social physical interaction, because of this technology of, you know, when it first came out was the Skype, right? People were Skyping, and then there's the FaceTiming. And this was a way for people to engage with each other when families and friends and loved ones are so far away. But if you think about it, that's also created this habit of, let's just continue to do that. We don't have to really find time to meet in person because we have this accessibility, you know, through this, right? Through these little screens. But I think now when you're so physically apart, it also makes people realize and value, I think they'll value the physical meeting.
Yes.
Right. Like I'm even just talking to my parents. I mean, like my son, I haven't seen my parents in over a year. And even prior to that, we you know, we Skype, we FaceTime, and we video with each other on a regular basis. But knowing the premise that, oh, you know, by a certain time of the year, we're going to see each other. And it's, you know, there's also like, we see each other, but then all of a sudden it's like, okay, we just, you know, it's again, like it's that normalcy, right? The desensitizing that we have this convenience. So this whole physical thing may not be as important as a priority if something else comes up.
It's my grandmother used to say, and that was in the 90s. She always said, you know what, you will be able to see the person you're talking to on the phone. So for her, this was like the crazy Back to the Future idea. You know,
right.
for her, this was like, and
she already thought about it.
Yeah, she just thought about it. And for her, that was absolutely
she should have saved that idea.
Yeah, she should have. Yeah. I was like, so, you know, we would all be sitting on the Maldives island right now and be like, no, but it's true. I mean, but for her, that was like absolutely not possible. That was like out of anything thinkable. And I mean, it happened just 10 years later. And it's true. I mean, that's how quick we are in developing all these kind of things, which we can also use for the performing arts or for conferences or for any kind of people's interaction. And it supports it, but it's, as you say, it doesn't make the physical interaction, it doesn't replace it. There's no replacement. It's just an add-on for times where it's not possible.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is good. I mean, that's the good part of it, but it's, and I mean, I think that's an experience we all, even the younger generation, I mean, the children, homeschooling and so on, even they realize that sitting in front of a computer, which is maybe in their dreams ideal because they can fortnight the days away. It's not that ideal, actually.
It's not.
No,
it's not for sure. But thank you. I mean, I think today was such a great start of our conversation. I wanted to thank everyone, and thank you, Jana, for coming on board with me to do this, and for coming to me with this idea. You know, I just wanted to leave everyone kind of thinking about, you know, leave on a positive note, and hope everyone stays grateful and stays, just remain open-minded and to appreciate what we have, and to stay hopeful that this is all going to end. Borders will open, maybe in different ways, but we will get to go back, and I hope everyone goes back to live performances. You know, that's how we engage, and that's how we stay connected with each other. You know, so yeah, so thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cindy.
Thank you.
That was really interesting. Thanks for that, Jana.
Absolutely.
Catherine?
Jana, you want to, final thoughts, final words?
Oh my God. I mean, how can I top that now? I can just agree. I can just agree with everything you said. And I want to thank you so much for the starting, for the first episode of this really exciting series and doing this with me. And thank you, Nicole and Catherine, for joining. It was fantastic. I absolutely loved it. I made a lot of notes in my little book. So it was totally, yeah, it was very interesting. And I agree, we will all go back, not back to normal, because I don't even like this, you know, it's going to be something new. And I think we will take a lot of positive things with us, even though it is a hard time and we come from a challenging year, let's say, not say hard and problem, it's challenging. But I think it's really, I think that we will take a lot with that. And I'm really, really, really excited on what's coming out of this, also for the performing arts, for the people, for everyone. And I would love to actually, I just had this thought, I would love to do this again in like half a year and see what the changes are already within 6 months, because that would be
Let's do it.
I think.
Let's do it. Let's come back again and rejoin and have a big party. You know, have a big party to reflect, right?
You know.
I know.
Maybe we can do it in VR then. I send you invitations. Okay?
I know. We should do that.
In my gallery.
You keep us posted in your with all your technology of how we can actually.
Sure.
Oh yes.
I know, right? That would be so incredible.
So I'll mark the date. That would be the 14th of April. That would be the 14th of October.
Yeah, there you go.
Awesome.
During Oktoberfest. Perfect.
Yeah,
Not sure how to deal with that beer kind of thing, but we'll do it.
We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. But I wanted to say thank you to everyone who tuned in with us today. You guys are all very shy audiences, but I know you're watching. Thank you. And stay tuned for our part 2, which will be April 28th at the same time. And we will be sharing our guest speakers very shortly. So thank you once again for joining us today. And thank you to Catherine, to Nicole, and for Jana for coming on this journey with us. And, you know, stay safe, stay healthy, wear your mask. And until next time, take care, everyone.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.